to be doing this now for quite a while on Thursdays with Luke Lapinski from the Wolf and Luke Show, all things sports. We're going to start out with the D-backs. Couple of things. First of all, not a bad series, not a good outcome, but not a bad series against the Yankees. But it just seemed like they ran out of bodies. They're getting bit by the injury bug a little bit.
Yeah, you don't think that in baseball. You don't always think of the injury bug, but now, I mean, they lost Geraldo Perdomo yesterday, so that's their fourth main player that they lost, and because they lost him, they literally ran out of players and had to have a relief pitcher bat with the bases loaded at the end of the game.
And he actually didn't have a bat at bat.
No.
I think the final strike may have not been necessarily a strike, but he took a good swing. It looked like he could have had a base hit. It was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but you're right, they ran out of bodies.
Yeah.
They just ran out of people against the Yankees. And they came back twice.
You figure if they had another guy on the bench, which they would have if Perdomo didn't get hurt, that they probably win that game. I mean, they had bases loaded. They just needed one run there in the in extra innings. So, I mean, if they do that, it's a lot of ifs now. But if they do that, they've won their first two series of the season. Beating Colorado's whatever. Beating the Yankees, though, the Yankees only have one loss all year.
And it's to us.
Yeah.
So what is it? What are you seeing about this team? I know it's very early, but how serious is this injury issue going to be to them in this young season? The Dodgers are what we expected the Dodgers to be. What do you think? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I still think regular season, the Dodgers are just, when you spend that much money and you have that much established talent, that's going to pay off for you in the regular season. So I still think the Dodgers win the division, but I think the Diamondbacks are a legitimate threat in the playoffs, assuming they get there. And I think that they will, because I'm assuming at some point the injuries are going to slow down. It doesn't sound like any of the four they have are all that serious right now, but they are. I mean, that's to your closer, one of your starters. Another one of your starters is out because he hasn't pitched yet, and now you've lost a couple, an infielder and an outfielder too.
And it's early in the season, and we all understand that this is such a long season. It is about health long term. And when you get hurt early, you got to be concerned about those injuries hanging around long term in a season. You don't have a lot of time to heal.
Yeah, no, it's true. And even like with Perdomo yesterday, the natural replacement would be Jordan Lawler, who's their top prospect. He's out 10 weeks with an injury in the minors too, so you can't even call him up. So this is unusual to have, essentially, if you count Lawler, 5 players hurt 7 games in.
And you're like you said, nothing very serious. It didn't look like there were serious injuries, but it doesn't matter. If you're out, you're out.
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to start a season. What do you think? I was watching the crowds, and the fans are showing up.
Yeah.
I like that. It's not just opening day. There seems to be a really big following and excitement for this team.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot over on the sports side of, the Suns have really high expectations. But if you're a Suns fan, you're watching the Suns, it just feels like you're stressed out and anxious, and you're like, they got to win right now, and they're not. The Diamondbacks, it's totally different. Almost similar expectations. I mean, they're the ones that went to the championship round last year, but it's more of a, hey, let's see if we can do it again. This is fun. It's exciting. It's summertime. There's just a much better vibe around that fan base right now.
So what you mentioned the Suns. Let's talk about the Suns. They are so all over the place. I mean, you lose to a team you should never lose to. Then you end up beating teams that on the road that seem like you are dominating some of these teams. What do you make of this?
The only thing that I'm wondering in the back of my mind is if maybe, and we're not going to know this until the playoffs start, but maybe they are a team that's more equipped to play in the playoffs, to play in a best-of-7 series, because they are very up and down, and it goes both ways. When they lose a bad game, they tend to respond really well. So over a 7-game series, that's not necessarily the worst quality to have. The problem is when they get up in a series, you feel like they're just going to lose a game they shouldn't lose.
Well, but is this team equipped to make a deep run in the West that is loaded?
I still think they are, but I want to make sure I say that the right way, in that they're not, there are better teams. But I just wonder, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant in a playoff series, I'm still going to take that over a lot of these good teams.
We talked, I think, last week about Caitlin Clark and what she's doing in college basketball. Is she solidly now the biggest name in college sports right now?
Yeah, I feel like she is. I mean, I think it would have been her or maybe Caleb Williams in college football, but I mean, he's going to the NFL, and she might even have him beat there, honestly. I mean, that it has become must-watch TV if Iowa's playing, even if you're not that much of a basketball fan, let alone a women's basketball fan. That game against LSU the other night, I felt like everybody was watching that.
I've never watched an entire women's college basketball game. I'm not trying to insult. I'm pointing out. I'll flip through. I'll watch for a few minutes, and I'm off it because I'm not a fan and I'm not invested. I watched that entire game against LSU.
I'm right there with you. And there was a lot of sports going on that night, too, locally, too. But, it was one of those things where you watched it, you got sucked in. I think that's the biggest thing is they have personalities now with her in particular that you are invested. I mean, as a sports fan, you just want to be invested. You don't want to just be watching a bunch of random jerseys running around.
All right, very quickly, your opinion. Do the Arizona Cardinals hang on to the number 4 pick? Do they make some blockbuster trade? Do they make some sort of a move? What do you think?
My gut feeling is that they want to make a move, unless they just love Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's there at 4. And if they do, to me, you have to just make the pick. You can trade other picks, but I just think Monty Austin-Ford is wired to make trades.
So what do you make of the off-the-wall thing we've heard? At least seems off the wall to me. They trade the 4 pick. No, they trade Kyler Murray, and at 4 they pick a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I think they are all in on Kyler. That said,
everybody I've talked to from the Cardinals has said that.
Yeah, I don't think it's an act. They don't really need to act. I mean, a year from now, if he doesn't have a good year, then you trade him next year. But I would rather have Kyler Murray, even with his flaws, because we know he can succeed in the NFL, as opposed to the 4th rookie quarterback off the board.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love doing this with you. I love talking sports anyway, but I love your insight, so I appreciate it. I'll talk with you next week.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch and listen to the new season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.